Alright guys, so time is now for a showdown between the Vampire Counts, who are going to be led by Von Karstein, Vampire Lord, and the Empire, who's going to be led by Volkmar the Grim and his powerful mustache. So without further ado, let's jump right into this match and have some fun. So as far as the build goes, we're going to be going pretty heavy in the paint with double Blood Knights, and I feel like Blood Knights are pretty good against the Empire, so if they have Empire Knights or Reiksguard or even against Demogryph Knights, these guys can put up a pretty good fight. So oftentimes they are going to be fighting Demogryph Knights, so what you do is you charge in with the Blood Knights, and then you summon zombies on top of the Demogryph Knights. It mucks up their AI, and most of the Demi models, which are very low model count, are going to be attacking zombies, while the Blood Knights have a little bit more I wouldn't say stopping power, but they have more models to kind of surround with. So Blood Knights can be pretty good. Granted, my opponent didn't bring any cav really, so it's going to be a little bit tricky to get into the cookie jar. He has a lot of spears and halberds, so I definitely like his build quite a bit. Going to be very, very fun. But nonetheless, Blood Knights are pretty good at charging infantry. I mean, even against like great swords and swordsmen and halberds and spears, if they're not braced, Blood Knights have a huge charge bonus of 78, so not pushovers. Each of them is going to have some noble dogs with them. So we got the Dire Pack here. On the other side, we have Blood Knights and Hounds. So typically that's kind of a competitive mainstay. You just get the doggies, you attack the back line, you harass the guns. You have to harass the Empire back line and their cannons and their silver bullets, because if you don't, you're just going to kind of get taken apart. For the main line, it's going to be Skeleton Warriors. We got Graveguard across the entire front line. We got Sternsmen, and then we also do have one group of the Cairn Wraiths. So Cairn Wraiths have pretty good armor piercing. They cause terror, and I just like to bring them as kind of a safety against greatswords and things like that. They have really good AP. They can actually damage greatswords pretty efficiently. But I mean, they don't have the best combat stats. That's one of the issues. But I think having one just to kind of cause terror and be a little bit sticky in the front line is a good choice. But that's actually going to be a little bit tough this game. Like I said, my opponent's army is really solid. He actually has a couple groups of greatswords. I think he has 3 in total. And if you're looking at my front line, typically the Vampire Counts will win the front line against the Empire. But with the Graveguard, I'm really going to have to make a huge difference with my magic as well as my Blood Knights and whatnot. So yeah, because I don't really have that much armor piercing. On top of that, a couple Skeleton Spears on the flanks. The reason I put the Skeleton Spears on the farthest side of the flank is because typically the cav fight will be like here or out here on the edges of the formation. So being able to scoot the spears up and fend off a superior cav force is very important. Now, I know that the Von Karstein Vampire Lord isn't the most competitive choice, but he looks really cool, number one, and I really wanted to summon a Vargulf, so I brought him. And if they do go with like a Flying Lord, for example, if they have like Boris or Karl, he does have the ability to lock them in place with Storm of the Night. So I think, the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, Manfred, maybe even Vlad is a little bit better in this matchup, just because Vlad obviously is really tough to snipe. The Blood Dragon Lord can goon enemy lords, and Manfred, of course, Spirit Leech and Faded Bune are really, really good in this matchup. But I think the Vargulf could be good against Cav, but yeah, again, he doesn't have any Cav, so a little bit tricky there. But maybe you'll see some Vargulf action in the back line. But nonetheless, he's on a Hellsteed, he's fast, he can fly around, he can summon zombies on top of guns. I mean, he's still going to serve a pretty good purpose. 2 Fellbats as well, and that's my whole army. So for my opponent, he's got a whole front line of halberds who do have charge defense against all, so they're going to be great. Armor piercing against Graveguard, I mean, they are a solid choice. He does have guns in the back, Free Company, Silver Bullets, and another group of Free Company, Hammer the Witches, a Bright Wizard with Fireball, Burning Head, and the Flaming Sword, Cascading Fire Cloak. 3 Greatswords who are going to be getting buffed up by some of that sweet fire magic. Volkmar the Grim looking super angry with his powerful mustache. This guy is always ready to party. And yeah, he's going to be on foot, so my bonus for Sarge and the Blood Knights isn't going to be that great. And honestly, I don't have anything that can kill him super quick, so it's going to be very grindy. One group of Flagellants, which I like, just kind of there to kill zombies most likely. And in the forest, he's got spears, and he does also have some spears and stuff over here. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So guys, the forces of the undead are going to be advancing here. Obviously, my opponent does have the hammer and a lot of range tools, so I don't really have the terms to dictate where the battle's going to take place. Fellbats are going to be flying overhead, so I'll do a little bit of fast forwarding as I do posture here. Fellbats, I'm just going to fly in and kind of look for the Silver Bullets, who are a stalking unit, and I do take some firepower initially. I'm also going to be checking out the forest here. Hopefully I'm going to discover the Sterling's Revenge and some of these other troops. I did discover the Spearmen here with some dogs, and my opponent has some very, very good positioning. And the Fellbats at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm on the approach. Hammer the Witches and his guns, this is where they're going to generate good value. Now, there is a case to be made about delaying this, but I didn't want the Hammer and the other troops kind of shooting my Blood Knights right now, so he detaches the cannon crew, which is great. But I'm able to get the Fellbats at least temporarily shutting it down. Silver Bullets also are not shooting right now, so they're not shooting against my Cairn Wraiths, which was what I was really worried about because of the magic damage. They could pound the Cairn Wraiths pretty badly, so trying my best to shut those guys down. Poor little bats are definitely taking a pounding. Blood Knights are going to be circling around, and when I realize that there's not too many opportunities to get through the back line here, I am going to basically be charging into the front and trying to hit these greatswords and whatnot. You get a zombie summon right on top of the Free Company Militia, but they're pretty cool because they're actually pretty good melee. Should be able to beat the zombies no problem, but again, it is temporarily shutting down the fire here. The Cairn Wraiths in the front have engaged with the Greatswords, and you can see we've taken out a couple models already in the initial charge. The Cairn Wraiths, of course, with their physical resist, are not going to be taking a whole lot of damage on the return swing, so that's a good trade. It's going pretty well here, but I was kind of wishing, I wish I had some more armor piercing here, because triple Greatswords is going to be tough. My opponent pulls back the Halberds. Sternsmen are going to be fighting Greatswords. Here, there's some Greatswords fighting as well, but I do have a layering charge. So the Blood Knights are going to be charging in. We should be able to pound out this formation using the frontal charge from the Blood Knights, and the dogs are going to be slipping up and through the crack and looking for an opportunity where Volkmar the Grim is going to be serving as the warden of the back line here. So hopefully he can do well. Charge does some okay damage, nothing to write home about, wasn't too happy about that, but the Dire Pack is going to be pushing through, and a really nice Burning Skull coming down from my opponent. It's a beautiful play. He's able to get a really nice Roasting Skull, and let's see how much damage it does to these Cairn Rays. It does pretty good. Yeah, it takes him down about 30%, but the dogs do swarm in on the Bright Wizard, and the Dire Pack definitely hit, relatively hard, so I'm able to get in there and start chewing on that guy. The other Blood Knights are going to be coming in as well. A Zombie Summon going down on Hammer the Witches, and these other Dire Wolves just kind of weaving through, but my opponent has a lot of protection. I mean, he's pretty amply covered everywhere. The Von Karstein Vampire Lord is going to be getting an Invocation of Nehek on the Blood Knights and some of these troops in the front line. And these greatswords are getting hammered down. So even though they are fighting something they should counter, the Blood Knight charges were able to soften those guys up. So that's a pretty good little trade. Here though, it's looking grim. Volkmar the Grim. Oh man, that totally was not intended. Him and his greatswords should be able to beat down these Sternsmen, which is a huge pick early. That's really nice. And you can see like my opponent already has a bit of an advantage, but there's many things going well for us. So we are able to get the Bright Wizard here. He's getting low. I'm going to be charging him with the Von Karstein Vampire Lord, who actually hits pretty hard, 480 weapon strength. We actually do break the Bright Wizard, so doing some early damage to the magic here is very good. The Hounds do get into the guns at the back, but the Free Company, of course, are going to be able to fight and not take massive burst damage, and the Halberds are going to be able to support them. Big issue being the Silver Bullets have been pretty much free range here in the trees. They're just shooting at the Dire Pack, and they're able to gun those doggies down pretty badly. But the Blood Knights have been able to squeak through, so I'm just kind of, trying to weave through and find opportunities to get into the gun line. In the front, it's going okay right here. These greatswords are pretty beat up. The Graveguard plus the Cairn Race able to do a good job, but that Burning Skull my opponent had was a thing of beauty for sure. Over here, not so good. My Undead Forces, Volkmar the Grim, of course, the Grand what is he, like Theologist or something like that? But he's able to just pound those guys out with the greatswords, providing his buffs, and it's definitely pretty good and tasty. Now, my other Blood Knights, I got a little bit sloppy with. I lost control of them. I sent them through to attack these guns, but for some reason they stopped, and I didn't see that they had been stopped. And usually that happens when the AI of something catches you, so this is going to be something that is probably going to be pretty catastrophic for me. I basically lose a full health group of Blood Knights. My opponent had a nice little pincer here, and yeah, that's disastrous. They were pretty healthy before that charge. So you can see when the Blood Knights go down there, the bounce power is going to shift in my opponent's favor as he collapses. I'm trying my best to get the Bright Wizard off the battlefield, so I'm trying to escort him with these Blood Knights. But you can see the bounce of power is starting to look in my opponent's favor here. I do have on the Von Karstein Vampire Lord flying up in the skies. He's basically just going to be summoning zombies to chase his Sterling's Revenge. Or I think skeletons this time. I think I summoned skeletons. No, it's actually zombies. So yeah, the Zombos are going to be attacking the Sterling's Revenge, who are very powerful, but the Von Karstein Vampire Lord is going to swoop in and be laying a bit of a whooping on these guys. So he's going to help hopefully drive them off the battlefield. But Volkmar the Grim is on the hunt, boys. He's hungry. That mustache is thirsty. He's going to be using his magic damage against the Cairn Race. So very nice pick here, getting that extra magic damage. I like that quite a bit. Cairn Race trying to cause some terror, trying to grind through here, and we do get down the Flagellants, and a lot of his state troops are a little bit beat up. Blood Knights in the back just kind of circling, and man, I was really wishing I had that other group, but very, very sloppy play on my part, letting those guys get caught. But Invocation of Nehek going down here, we're going to get a full chubby charge in these Silver Bullets. Yeah, that's right. So Silver Bullets get rode down pretty badly there. Blood Knights are going to be pulling back up into the trees, and hopefully they're able to kind of reroute and get some more value. But yeah, I'm surprised we didn't break those Silver Bullets. That was like a full frontal charge. But if you look at the battlefield, it's still relatively even, a slight advantage for my opponent, but certainly something we can potentially come back from. The Von Karstein Vampire Lord doing his best with these zombies here to finish off the Sterling's Revenge, who are shaken. Let's see their leadership. So they're at 21. They're getting pretty low here. Another zombie summon going down on the Free Company Militia here. The Cairn Race are doing a number on the Halberds, but they're also getting beat up themselves. Graveguard doing their best, but wherever Volkmar the Grim goes and his mustache, I mean, they're doing a number on these guys. Really, really doing a good job. And the problem is my opponent has a lot of Halberds. Halberds, of course, a very good armor-piercing unit. They're even pretty good in like the Chaos matchup, and you can see in the back a little bit of Last Samurai action going down as the Blood Knights do get caught on the edges of these Halberds and Spears, but I do quickly reroute them. I'm going to be getting the proper charge. So the Blood Knights do charge in here, get a really nice charge here on the Free Company, and yeah, they're doing good damage. I mean, these Blood Knights generating a lot of value, 67 kills right now. The other ones definitely did not. My opponent didn't really have any targets. He went super narrow. He didn't have any calves. Typically, you see Demogryph Knights or you see, Flying Lord to really kind of battle those heavy vampire units, but he didn't have any of that, so it really caught me off guard for sure. Von Karstein Vampire Lord dropping a summon to kind of tarp it here. The Bright Wizard's very low, so finally his caster is maybe done for. His HP is very low, 151. Some of the Blood Knights are running back into the forest to get some cover, but some of them do get caught up in the Halberds, which is very rough. And yeah, the bounce power is looking pretty heavily in my opponent's favor here. You can see that the Cairn Race are trying their best to fight. Graveguard fighting against Halberds, but the Grand Hammer of Sigmar making these guys pretty juicy, putting their melee attack super high, up to 52. So they're able to actually get through these Graveguard very, very efficiently, which, yeah, Volkmar is just a pimp. In the back, the Von Karstein Vampire Lord is going to be chasing down the Silver Bullets, trying to get those guys off the battlefield. My opponent wisely pulls them back to the Halberds, so very, very good play there, kind of using his defense. A little bit of crossfire will be coming in from the Free Company Militia, and it looks like the Hammer of the Witches is shattered. So that's quite nice. Blood Knights here in okay shape. But from here, it's going to be a tough one. So just a little bit of a grinding here. So I'll go ahead and fast forward some of this for you guys. Karen Race are going to be regrouping. Graveguard are fighting there. Volkmar the Grim doing a good job. The Von Karstein Vampire Lord in the back is going to be diving the Free Company Militia. And you can see I'm starting to lose my grip on this battle, but I'm trying to get as much value as I can from those Blood Knights, just riding down any isolated units, hoping that my Graveguard and some Terror could potentially be something that could get me back into this game here. So the Blood Dragon Vampires, or the, well, I guess that's what they are technically, but the Blood Knights are going to be pulling back. These Halberds are pursuing. Now, this is a little bit of a lesson here. Whenever halberds or spear units, don't be afraid to charge them. I mean, yeah, if I were my opponent, I would pursue as well. But you can always countercharge them and get some really good damage. So the Blood Knights of Red keep coming in for a fat charge on these halberds. They're not braced, so they're going to actually take a ton of damage here and really get melted. So we're able to melt those guys. And honestly, he didn't really have time to brace those guys anyway, so there's nothing that could really be done there. But the Blood Knights are going to pull back. We're going to cycle charge these halberds a couple times, try and break them down, and allow the Von Karstein Vampire Lord to keep chasing off the Free Company and the guns. Unfortunately, those damn silver bullets are really just sticky this game. They came back. There's 24 here. Free Company are offline. The Von Karstein Vampire Lord is fighting, but I don't really have a chance, I don't think, at this point. The halberds and the guns are online. Volkmar is fully healthy, and Volkmar could probably beat the Von Karstein Vampire Lord in solo combat anyways. So at this point, it's a little bit of a, desperate attempts to charge in with the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord, get a little bit of work done. But yeah, you can see Volkmar and company doing some work. Another zombie summon comes down, going to be chasing those guys. But yeah, the crossfire coming in, and really, I mean, even though the Von Karstein Vampire Lord has done pretty good this game, he didn't seem to be that great of a pick based on what my opponent brought. I didn't have an opportunity to do the Vargulf summon. And honestly, the Vargulf summon probably isn't that good in this matchup anyways. I mean, there's so many spears and halberds and guns and things like that, so it's not like a super solid pick. But I mean, against like Demogryph Knights, you can like drop it on top of your Blood Knights and get some really like heavy monstrous support, which can be good. But really, it was just very, very suboptimal. I feel like the Von Karstein Vampire Lord didn't do a lot. Blood Knights didn't have any really great targets. He had so many spears and halberds. Now, we were able to kind of thread the needle a couple times and get good value, but he was very, very on point. My opponent did a great job maneuvering his halberds and spears and getting into position. So the Blood Knights, 114 kills here, 74 in the other one. So I guess they did okay with their initial gambit, but from there it was tough. On top of that, I think I got to respect I didn't respect the Empire Greatswords. I was kind of like, if he brings a couple, I should be able to wing it with my Graveguard and Cairn Race, but I didn't respect them enough, and especially with Volkmar the Grim, they were able to just like beat me down in the front line. Even though one of them got crunked pretty quick, the other ones were able to just do great work against me. So a couple things. If I were to change the build, we can go ahead and take a look at this. But firstly, I just want to say well played to my opponent, Mulbert. It was a great game, super fun. He played really well. Definitely outplayed me that game and had some really, really solid builds for sure. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I would change in retrospect if I was, let's say I was like in a tournament, I was playing Empire, and I really wanted to kind of min-max the build. We'll go ahead and take a look at that. So here we go, and it's go time. So we're going to go over to custom battles. We're going to look at the vampire counts. Got a little bit confused there for a second. So you have some options, right? You can go with Manfred. Manfred's a really good choice. You can go with the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Although up in the skies, it's a little bit risky. So he'd probably be on a Hell Steed. And the reason why he's okay on the Hell Steed is because he's going to have some really good supporting magic. So you can get the Buna in case you go with like great swords and things like that. So you go with those 4 abilities, I would say. From there, you definitely want sort of Unholy Power. The Spirit Leech is going to be really good. The Faded Buna, you would have been able to get like 2 or 3 off on the great swords and just solo kill them over the course of the game, right? Which I think could have been pretty good. Sternsmen are probably going to be good. On top of that, I would probably mix in some Graveguard with great weapons, just throw those guys in the mix. Just have like a well-rounded army. On top of that, I'd probably get like a bunch of skeletons. You could probably just get like skeleton spears, to be honest, just in case they do go with Empire Heavy Cav, which isn't uncommon. This could be kind of your chaff line. You can even mix in a couple zombies depending on things, and we'll go ahead and mix in the other units now. So from here, we might get the Black Coach. Black Coach would actually be quite good against the infantry. The Great Swords, do I want to get the Blood Knights, though? Maybe just one Blood Knight, because I think like one was good, and you can get them with the Dire Pack. You can get a couple of these bad boys, and I think the Fellbats will do a pretty good job. So if they have like a big, flying powerful lord, you're going to be able to outmaneuver them with Manfred and Spirit Leech them and countercharge them when they go down. You have the Blood Knights and the Dire Pack. You definitely need the dogs to harass the back line. So I think, Dire Pack might be good in one group of Dire Wolves. Yeah, something like this, right? Because from here, you're going to be able to kite and fight. Manfred's going to be much more effective than the Von Karstein Vampire Lord. The Graveguard will put a dent in the Greatswords. Plus, you have this mobile, like, Terror, Black Coach. Black Coach is actually not bad against halberds and spears either because it can cycle charge them and it causes terror. It has anti-infantry. Skeleton Spears, it's chaff. Don't really need to explain that much. And the Blood Knights and the Dire Pack are going to be really good against, if he does go with Demogryph Knights, at least you have an answer. Or Reichsguard or anything else that he wants to cycle charge you with. And yeah, I think that's pretty safe. And you get the Fellbats to harass the gunline / scout and another group of Dire Wolves to harass and try and get on the silver bullets. So I would recommend something like this. I think this would be a very good build. And, I have a little bit more money. So you could even like cut one skeleton spear and just get like a couple zombos or maybe just like 2 more of these guys. I think that's probably like the better direction to go. So yeah, something like that. Cut the last chevron and that'll be all she wrote. So again, very well played to my opponent. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the match as well as the post-game breakdown. And we will see you guys next time. Take care.